How does a local brand, one that's built on ancient traditions, manage to take on some of the world's biggest corporations and actually win? Well, that is the incredible story of Patanjali. We're going to break down how they went from being this small niche player to an absolute market titan, completely rewriting the rules of the consumer goods game.
So that's the big question, right? How in the world did they do it? How did one single brand, rooted in Ayurveda, manage to shake up a market that had been dominated for decades by these global giants? This is a true David versus Goliath story. And believe me, the answer is a total masterclass in strategy.
Okay, so to really get what a big deal this was, we've got to set the stage. We need to paint a picture of the world Patanjali was about to step into. And let me tell you, this was a market that was completely controlled by massive, established, multinational players. For years and years, the fast-moving consumer goods market in India, the FMCG market, was basically the undisputed territory of a handful of huge global corporations. Just think about it for a second. These guys had nearly unlimited cash, enormous marketing budgets, and distribution networks that took them decades to build. They weren't just in the industry, they were the kings of the industry. But here's the thing. Patanjali didn't try to play the same game. They didn't fight fire with fire. Instead, they showed up to the battle with a totally different weapon, this powerful, deeply resonant idea called Swadeshi. The concept is actually pretty simple, but profound. It's all about championing products that are made right in your own country. And their genius move was wrapping this idea in the trusted tradition of Ayurveda. In doing that, they tapped into this deep well of national pride and a growing hunger for all natural products.
So an idea is great, but how do you turn that idea into a force that can actually shake up a whole market? Well, for Patanjali, it all came down to a brilliant and, honestly, a deceptively simple three-point strategy. This was their battle plan. And here it is. This was their roadmap. Their entire strategy rested on these three pillars. First, they positioned their brand around that powerful Swadeshi idea. Second, they unleashed this incredibly aggressive, impossible-to-miss marketing campaign. And third, they built a distribution network that could get their products into every single corner of the country. Each piece here was absolutely critical, so let's dig into each one. Okay, pillar number one, their positioning. Patanjali didn't even try to be another slick multinational clone. They went in the complete opposite direction, leaning hard into their identity as a truly Indian Ayurvedic brand. And this wasn't just some clever marketing slogan. It was their core identity. That created this incredibly powerful connection with millions of consumers who felt like the big global brands just didn't get them. Next up, pillar two. They got loud. I mean, really loud. Patanjali launched an absolute blitzkrieg of marketing across TV and social media, and they had a secret weapon, the massive star power of their co-founder, the yoga guru Baba Ramdev. He became the face of the brand, and almost overnight, bam, Patanjali was a household name. There was nothing subtle about this. It was an all-out push to get their name everywhere, and fast.
And this third pillar, man, this is where their genius really shines, distribution. See, while all their competitors were laser-focused on the big cities, Patanjali went everywhere. They built this massive network that reached deep into both rural and urban India. This was a total game changer. It meant their products weren't just something you saw in an ad, they were right there on the shelf, accessible to pretty much everyone, everywhere. Now, of course, you can't just kick the hornet's nest and expect nothing to happen. This meteoric rise got everyone's attention, and the giants were not just going to stand by and watch. Suddenly, Patanjali was facing some pretty major challenges that could have easily derailed their whole mission.
It was like they were fighting a war on two fronts. On the outside, the legacy brands finally woke up and started fighting back, launching their own copycat lines of natural and Ayurvedic products. But the internal fight was maybe even tougher. This constant, difficult balancing act between keeping their product quality super high while also offering those famously low prices.
And this really gets to the heart of their whole challenge. On one hand, their entire brand was built on the promise of gunavata, quality, authentic, high-standard Ayurvedic products. But on the other hand, a huge part of their appeal was mulya, the price. They had to be cheaper than the competition. Managing this tightrope walk, delivering on both of those promises at the same time, was absolutely make or break for their survival. So, with all that pressure, how did it all shake out? What was the ultimate result? Well, the impact Patanjali had on the market wasn't just big, It was nothing short of an earthquake. They completely shook the foundations of the entire industry.
I mean, just look at this. The growth was just explosive. Patanjali went from being a relatively small, kind of niche player to a dominant force in an incredibly short amount of time. This shows a dramatic and super fast grab of market share that sent absolute shockwaves through the industry.
But you know, their impact went way beyond just sales figures. It created two fundamental shifts. Yes, they snatched a huge slice of the market away from the established giants, but maybe even more importantly, they actually changed what consumers wanted. They created this massive new demand for Ayurvedic and Swadeshi products that ended up benefiting the entire category. All right, so let's zoom out. What are the key lessons here? What's the formula for success we can pull from Patanjali's incredible story? Let's try and boil it all down.
It really boils down to three key things. First, your brand story is your superpower. That genuine local connection proved to be way more powerful than a massive marketing budget. Second, you have to hit that sweet spot between great quality and a great price to win over the mass market. And finally, if you're going to take on the giants, you can't be timid. You have to go all in with an aggressive strategy for both marketing and distribution. At the end of the day, it really comes down to this simple truth. Real success comes from your brand positioning and a genuine local connection. Patanjali won because they understood the market on a deep cultural level and built a brand that resonated with people's core values. It's just a powerful lesson in how important authenticity really is. So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. Is this Swadeshi model, this focus on local identity, heritage, and pride, something that could only work in India? Or is it a playbook that could be used to disrupt markets anywhere in the world? It's a fascinating thought, and it really proves that sometimes the biggest ideas are the ones that are closest to home. Thanks for digging into this with us.